Hey guys, it's David from quizhacker.net. Today we are looking at reading question 7 from practice test 1 of the ACT Red Book. Today's question gives us an opportunity to examine one of the types of language games that the ACT uses in order to increase the likelihood that you will choose one of the distractors instead of the correct answer. So let's look at the question. It says, which of the following statements most accurately expresses Fran's feelings when she hands her mother the letter from Linda Rose? Okay, so we're first of all being asked which of the following statements most accurately expresses. We've talked about this phrase most accurately or most likely to be correct, where they use the superlative most, which to a lot of people, at least subconsciously, will suggest that we're in a comparative situation as opposed to a black and white situation. And what I mean by that is that in a comparative situation, you've got, for example, a couple of answer choices that accurately express whatever. In this case, it would be Fran's feelings, right? And we're looking for the one that most accurately expresses Fran's feelings. That phrasing is a language game. It's a deceptive way of phrasing the question because it suggests just what I laid out, that we're in a comparative situation and we are not. You see, there are 3 distractors that are clearly incorrect, that contain some kind of error, that make them positively, absolutely wrong. And then there is one correct answer. So it's not a matter of trying to figure out, well, there's 2 that are accurate and which one is most accurate. It's a matter of which 3 are wrong and which one is correct. The second language game that is played in this question, we haven't even got to the answer choices yet, is that it asks about Fran's feelings. Now, what do you think of when you think of feelings? Most of us automatically, naturally, without thinking it through, think about emotions, right? To ask about or speak about someone's feelings is to ask or speak about their emotions. Well, guess what? The correct answer in this question is the answer choice that conveys something that is least like an emotion of the 4 answer choices, right? Language games. So, as I've said before, the first step in answering a question on ACT reading is to ask yourself, does this question need to be translated? Yeah, this one does need to be translated. When it asks which one is most accurate, we want to change that to, what does the passage say? Right? Which one of these says the same thing as the passage? A big part of increasing your score on this test has to do with your ability to translate questions and to be on the lookout for these types of language games and to see through them. Okay, on to answering the question. Step 2 is finding the right part of the passage. In this case, it's 55 to 58, lines 55 to 58 of the passage. That's the part where Fran hands her mother the letter. And we're being asked which answer choice restates what the passage says about how Fran feels when she hands her mother the letter. Let's take a look at the answer choices. A, Fran is disappointed about getting such a short letter after so many years of no news from Linda Rose. So disappointed is a kind of feeling that appeals to our intuition. That seems like a good match in terms of feeling. And the situation in the passage is that the letter is short, right? It's been 25 years or almost 25 years since Fran has heard from Linda Rose, since Fran has seen Linda Rose. She gets a letter from her, and the passage describes that letter as short and businesslike. Now, often when we're asked about how a character is feeling, another thing that happens is that we're tempted to put ourselves in the character's situation and imagine how we would feel in that situation. That kind of interpretation, that type of empathetic, creative interpretation, subjective interpretation, is not going to lead you to the right answer. However, on the ACT or the SAT, we need to stick to just what the passage says, not how we would feel in that situation. Of course, many of us might imagine, well, I would feel disappointed. It would make sense for Fran to feel disappointed getting a short letter after so long, but the passage doesn't say anything about that. about Fran reacting that way. So A is wrong. A is a distractor. B, Fran welcomes the good news about the birth of her grandson, Blake. Okay, so again, we might imagine if we were in Fran's situation that we would be glad. We would feel glad about finding out we had a grandchild. But that is not in the passage. And in fact, in the next couple of paragraphs, it is contradicted. Fran isn't so excited about this news, at least not at first. So B is a distractor. And remember, since A is a distractor, we're going to cross it out. And we're not going to tell ourselves we're going to do that when we get to the actual real test. We're going to do it during practice. We're going to cross B out. C, Fran is offended by the letter's cold, businesslike tone. Well, this does use some of the language from the passage. Fran describes the letter as short and businesslike. Offended is a feeling, right? We're being asked how she feels. But it never says that she feels offended, right? It does say that she does describe the letter as businesslike, but there's nothing to suggest that she's offended by that businesslikeness of the letter. So we're going to rule that one out as well. We're going to put a line through it, eliminate it. We're down to D. Fran knows how hard it must have been for Linda Rose to write the letter. Well, yeah, this does restate the passage and how Fran feels. The passage says that Fran imagines that Linda Rose tried to write this letter several times, tried to write, long letters, and decided she couldn't send those, crumpled them up, and tried again, and that this happened several times, right? So it was hard for her to write this letter. The passage clearly states that, and so that's why D is the correct answer. Note that answer choice D is the only one that contains a word like knows, right? Knows suggests knowledge. It doesn't at first blush suggest an emotion or a feeling. Yet it is the correct answer. We're being asked about a feeling. A contains disappointed. Fran's disappointed. Well, that's a feeling. B, Fran welcomes the good news. Yeah, she's happy. That's a feeling. C, Fran is offended. Yeah, feeling offended, right? That's a feeling. D, Fran knows. Knowing something isn't really a feeling, is it? It doesn't strike us that way, at least when we first read this. Keep in mind that the test likes to play language games and sort of likes to stretch it when it comes to fitting things into definitions, right? If there's a way they can take the word feelings and fit something into it in a way that is technically correct, but runs counter to our intuitions about the meaning of that word, well, you can bet they're going to do it, because that's how they make the test more difficult. So the takeaways for today: be on the lookout for language games, particularly in ACT reading questions. We always have to ask ourselves, do I need to translate this question? What am I really being asked? What we're really being asked all the time on ACT reading is, what does the passage say? Which answer choice, which one answer choice clearly and correctly says exactly what the passage says, and which three answer choices, not to a matter of degree, but absolutely positively, just as clearly, make some sort of error in their restatement of the passage. Either it doesn't restate it at all, or it kind of restates part of it, but then it adds a detail that isn't in the passage, or it's overly narrow, or it's overly broad, etc., etc. Long story short, if we want to beat ACT reading, if we want to improve our scores, we not only have to be good readers, we not only have to be hyper literal readers, we not only have to be good at spotting restatements, we have to be able to see through the language games that are being played. As always, if you like this video, click like. If you have questions, put them in the comments below. I will answer them. I post new videos every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss out. I hope this video has helped you to prep smarter.